What's up, guys? I'm making some PVC fish structures, some trees basically that can hang from some condo docks, and I'll kind of show you just how I go about it, what works, what I like to do, and hopefully help you, maybe hang something similar off your dock, or if you have condo association or something like that, to help attract some crappie or make the crappie easier to target. A lot of times they suspend around condo docks or docks around deep water, but sometimes it's hard to get to them via boat. If you can walk the dock, it's not as much of an issue, but still adding some of this stuff will help congregate some of the bait fish and then get some of that crappie to really kind of sit around it tight. And just a spot you can kind of sit and usually catch a lot of fish out of them. So here's the one I've been working on today. It's just an old scrap piece of 3-inch PVC. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be 3-inch. It could be 2-inch probably. I wouldn't really go any lower than that unless you use really small holes. But I just use a hole saw and just drill some holes, stagger it in here. I'll kind of show what it looks like in a final product here. Here's the hole saw I used, and then this is just some old, I think like bore pipe or something. If you go around and look at construction sites or areas where they're pulling in different cable or wire and stuff like that, you'll find all sorts of trash like this. Or if you can find a crew or some people of somebody, they oftentimes have a ton of this stuff that's just going to go in a dumpster. And I like to try and salvage it and use it for something instead of it just going in a landfill. So this is pretty thick, pretty rigid. It doesn't really matter too much. Just the biggest thing is when you're doing this is you want something that a hook point is not going to get stuck into easy. You don't want this to be real spongy. This is really good hard plastic. So you'll be able to jig around this and you won't have any issues with your hook points getting stuck in there. And then for the main pipe and the arm material here even, I just took my sander and just sanded this down, make it a little bit more rough, and that's going to allow algae and stuff to grow to it a little bit better and stick, and that'll help attract some bait fish and in turn get you some crappie that'll inhabit this. This is how I leave it when I transport it to the lake, just in all the pieces like this, and I'll put it together real quick and just show you kind of what it's going to look like, and then I'll show you how I run a screw to secure the pieces so they don't fall out. Okay, so here's kind of what it looks like with some of the pieces in there. I've got one more piece I need to put in the top still, but so once I get down to the lake and I'm ready to sink this, I'll get it all assembled like this, just loosely, and then I'll take a screw and I'll put it right where my thumb is so it goes through your main PVC and into the little arm that you made here, and that'll keep it from sliding left to right. I've made a bunch of these to put in ponds and stuff. These are kind of be my first go around hanging them from docks and stuff at like the Ozarks. Now you can't hang this from just anybody's dock. That is technically their property, so you need to go from like condo docks, or if you have a personal dock, or if you know somebody like, hey, can I hang these off your dock or something like that, then it won't be a big issue. These aren't like really heavy or anything. You don't really have to add any extra weight to them. They sink on their own, so it's not like a lot of strain or anything, or going to be pulling down on the dock floats any extra or on any of the welds or anything like that. And then as far as connecting it to the dock, I just use wire, and I like to just drill a hole through here, and don't go too close to the top because you have a chance of possibly shelling out in the future. So kind of go down a few inches, give yourself a little bit of extra space, and then just tie like a loop on it like that. Take the other end of it and just loop it around like cross braces or something on the dock. This one's going to hang around 10 feet below the dock, over 30 feet of water or so. That tends to be a good spot just because the fish can relate to it really almost all year. If you get the real shallow docks, they're only going to use that type of stuff coming up towards the spawn or coming out of the spawn, where if you pick something a little bit deeper water, they'll really relate to it almost the whole year except for the time that they are spawning. All right, we're down here by the dock. I'm going to unwrap this off the tape off here that I used to transport it, and then I'll screw it together and we'll sink it in the water. So I just take a screw and run it through the PVC into your other pipe. Okay, now I got it assembled. Stick her in. Get her sinking. Nice PVC sinks on its own. You don't gotta add anything to it. But it's also, it'll be light enough eventually that if you need to pull it up and mess with it or move it or something, you can. And I'm just gonna take my wire. I'm gonna run it around nice corner here. I'll give it a little bit of time and see. It's kind of my test spot, I guess, and see if I can get a lot of crappie to congregate around it. If I can't, I'm going to move it to a different position, probably more to the outside end of a dock, so it's a little easier to access even by boat. This is kind of just the test run. I kind of live scope it a little bit and see in a week or two what's all there. So hopefully it gives you an idea, maybe gets your creativity going a little bit. Like I said, I like to just kind of reuse all this stuff. It's better than it going in a landfill and sitting in there forever. So give the fish a little extra structure and help you coax some of these fish into being in maybe a more targetable spot on some of these bigger condo docks or your personal dock or something. Just give them something to relate to. So go ahead and make your own, and hopefully you can stack up some good limits of crappie out of them. So thanks for watching, guys.